They told you to trust your credit score, to hustle harder, to chase the dream even if it buries you in debt. And now you're sitting there, tired, anxious, and wondering how your bank account is empty again, even though you're working more than ever. What if I told you the real problem isn't your paycheck, but your foundation? And what if the Bible, not a bank, held the blueprint to rebuild your life from zero and walk in a kind of wealth that actually brings peace? I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm here to show you exactly how I would start over from scratch. No savings, no credit, just wisdom, vision, and a God who multiplies what the world overlooks. Because freedom isn't found in numbers, it's found in order. And once you get this order right, the blessing follows faster than you think. Why debt isn't just a money problem. It's a spiritual weight. Debt isn't just about numbers on a statement. It's a spiritual weight that quietly shapes how we see ourselves, how we sleep at night, and how we relate to God. Scripture says the borrower is slave to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. That's not just poetic language, it's a divine warning. When you're buried in debt, you're not free to walk in your purpose. You're not leading your family, you're following a payment schedule. Most people think debt is just a budgeting issue, but in truth, it's often rooted in fear, impatience, and misplaced identity. We buy what we can't afford to impress people we don't even know, because we're chasing validation instead of calling. And slowly we lose our spiritual peace. Debt forces you to make decisions based on pressure, not purpose. God never designed us to live in financial bondage. From the Old Testament to the teachings of Jesus, there's a consistent call to freedom: financial, emotional, and spiritual. That's why managing your money is more than a strategy. It's a form of worship. Stewardship isn't optional for believers. It's evidence of trust. If you can't manage $500, why would God trust you with $5,000? Getting out of debt starts with understanding that it's not just a financial move. It's a spiritual shift. It's deciding to stop serving creditors and start serving the kingdom. It's about reclaiming your authority over what God gave you. And once that burden starts to lift, you'll begin to see clearly what's been clouded all along. The first step: get a vision strong enough to make you cry. Before you touch a spreadsheet or list your debts, you need one thing: vision. Not a vague goal like, I want to be rich, but a vision so real it moves you emotionally. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. That includes your money. Without vision, you'll quit the first time life punches you in the wallet. Vision isn't just where you want to live or what car you want to drive. It's about who you want to become. Do you want to be the first in your family to break generational poverty? Do you want your kids to grow up with freedom instead of financial fear? That's the kind of vision that makes you push through when the numbers don't add up. But vision alone isn't enough. You need a why. A why that brings tears to your eyes, not just numbers to your bank. Maybe you're tired of watching your parents suffer in retirement. Maybe you're tired of missing your child's milestones because of double shifts. Your why is what keeps you committed when motivation fades. Once your vision and why are clear, money becomes a servant, not your master. Every budget becomes a tool. Every sacrifice has purpose. And your heart begins to shift from "I can't afford that" to "I'm building something greater." And that's when you're finally ready to take your next bold step. Track every dollar. The power of zero-based biblical budgeting. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a tracking problem. They say, I don't know where my money goes, but that's the issue. Money doesn't leave quietly when it's being watched. Luke 14:28 reminds us, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost? Budgeting is biblical. Planning is spiritual. Avoiding it is expensive. Zero-based budgeting means every dollar has a mission. You give every dollar an assignment, whether it's groceries, tithing, investing, or saving. This isn't about restriction, it's about direction. Without a plan, your money serves someone else's purpose. With a plan, it becomes a servant of your God-given vision. But don't just plug numbers into an app and call it budgeting. Pull your last 90 days of bank statements. Highlight everything: food, gas, subscriptions, giving. You'll be shocked how much you're leaking. Budgeting is like confession. It forces you to face truth before transformation can happen. And truth, even when it stings, sets you free. Biblical stewardship begins with measurement. You can't multiply what you're not managing. You can't fix what you won't face. And once you start tracking with intention, you'll find money you didn't know you had and clarity you didn't know you needed. Fix the income gap. Make money without working twice as hard. Most people try to fix financial problems by cutting expenses, but that's only half the equation. The truth is, You can't save your way out of a hole if your income is stuck. Proverbs 14:23 says, "All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty." But what if your hard work isn't being multiplied? That's where strategy, not hustle, comes in. God didn't create you just to survive paycheck to paycheck. If you're always saying, "I need a second job," pause and ask, what skill has God already given you that the marketplace needs? One teacher turned her classroom knowledge into a test prep business. Now she makes more from that than her salary. She didn't work harder. She worked smarter and aligned with purpose. Making more money doesn't mean burning out. It means identifying underutilized gifts and turning them into income streams. Maybe it's tutoring, writing, coaching, baking, flipping furniture. Something that flows from who you are. Your business doesn't need to be big. It needs to be obedient. What if your side hustle is actually your assignment? Fixing the income gap starts by realizing you have more to offer than your current paycheck suggests. When you operate from calling, not just necessity, money begins to move differently. And once income flows with intention, you're finally ready to dismantle the myths that have kept you financially stuck for years. Credit score. Myths? What you can't pass down to your children. We've been taught to worship a number, the credit score. People wear it like a badge of honor, yet it says nothing about your actual wealth. A perfect 800 score doesn't mean you have peace, freedom, or assets. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." But you can't pass down a credit score. You can pass down wisdom and wealth. Many believers have confused good credit with good stewardship. Paying back borrowed money on time is responsible, yes, but it's not the same as ownership. You can have a house full of debt and still look successful on paper. That's not legacy. That's bondage dressed up as progress. And unfortunately, that mindset gets inherited. We need to teach our kids how to build assets, not how to chase points. Show them what it means to own real estate, to invest, to start a business with integrity. That's real generational wealth. The problem isn't the credit score, it's the obsession with it. And that obsession is often fueled by fear and social status, not God's design for provision. True financial freedom begins when you stop building your identity around numbers that expire. The credit score system rewards debt, not discipline. And the moment you break free from its grip, you begin to see money as a tool, not a trap. That's when you're finally positioned to build something eternal. Godly stewardship. Build wealth that outlives you. Stewardship is not just about how you manage money. It's about how you manage everything God has placed in your hands. Psalm 24:1 reminds us, "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it." That includes your income, time, talents, and relationships. If it belongs to God, then your role is to multiply it, not just maintain it. And wealth, in God's economy, always serves a bigger mission. Too many people chase money but neglect purpose. They grow accounts but not impact. They buy things but never build legacy. Stewardship flips that script. It asks, what will outlive me? Will my business serve my family after I'm gone? Will the wisdom I've learned become a blueprint for my children? If not, it's time to rethink the plan. Jesus praised the servants who multiplied what they were given, not the ones who buried it. Matthew 25. Wealth isn't evil, waste is. If you're earning but not stewarding, you're working against your own legacy. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you turn into meaning. God doesn't need you to be rich. He needs you to be responsible. Godly stewardship turns every dollar into a seed, every decision into a testimony. When you start thinking beyond your own lifetime, your priorities shift. You stop asking, what can I afford? And start asking, what will this produce after I'm gone? That's when real multiplication begins. Earn, the 4-step framework to escape debt and multiply abundance. Sometimes people don't need another sermon, they need a system. That's where the Earn framework comes in. Evaluate, arrange, render, now act. Simple, but not easy. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance." If you want to escape debt and build real wealth, it starts with a clear, God-honoring plan. Step 1, evaluate. You can't heal what you won't reveal. Print out every debt, every monthly bill, every IOU to friends and family. List it, face it, own it. Avoidance is expensive. Step 2, arrange the vision. Where is God calling you to be in 2 years, 5 years? Who's sitting at your table in that future? Write it down and pray over it. Step 3, render the strategy. Stop winging it. Get coaching. Study proven models. Read biblical finance books like The Richest Man Who Ever Lived by Stephen K. Scott. Talk to someone who's walked the path. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. Why build a life without one? Strategy turns dreams into direction. Finally, now act. This is where most people stall. They have the knowledge but won't move. James 2:17 says, "Faith without works is dead." That applies to your money too. Action breaks inertia. And once you start moving in faith, even small steps, you'll find God multiplying your obedience in ways you never expected. The cost of being comfortable. Why most stay broke for life. Comfort is expensive, and most people don't realize they're paying for it with their future. Staying in financial survival mode feels easier than facing the discomfort of change. But Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformation isn't comfortable, it stretches you. And that's exactly why most people never escape financial bondage. The lie is that comfort equals peace. But real peace doesn't come from Netflix binges, impulse spending, or ignoring your bank balance. It comes from knowing you're living on purpose. People stay broke because they fear temporary discomfort more than they fear lifelong regret. The kingdom mindset flips that equation. When you say yes to discipline, you say no to chaos. It might mean skipping restaurants, downsizing your lifestyle, or telling friends not this time. That's not punishment, it's preparation. You're trading short-term pleasure for long-term freedom. And believe it or not, that sacrifice becomes a source of pride, not pain. The longer you tolerate financial mediocrity, the more it becomes your identity. But the moment you get sick of being stuck, that's when your breakthrough begins. And once you reach that breaking point, there's no going back. Authenticity and abundance. You can't fake your way to financial freedom. There's no abundance in pretending. You can dress wealthy, talk confident, and still be one missed paycheck away from collapse. Psalm 139:14 says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." God didn't design you to be a copy. Your breakthrough starts the moment you stop performing and start showing up as who you really are. Most people don't have a money problem. They have an identity crisis. They buy things to impress, to belong, to mask wounds. But faking success won't lead to freedom. It only multiplies pressure. When you embrace authenticity, you stop building around appearances and start building around values. That's where real wealth begins. Being authentic doesn't mean being perfect. It means being clear on your values, honest about your gaps, and brave enough to grow in public. The moment you stop hiding your struggle, God can start using it. That's when your story becomes your seed. And in the kingdom, the seed is never wasted. It always multiplies. Abundance flows through vessels that are real, not polished. When you stop chasing the world's approval, you gain room for God's provision. And the more aligned your finances are with your identity, the more powerfully your money begins to move. Stewarding relationships, time, and purpose. Not just your money. Most people think stewardship only applies to finances. But biblically, stewardship is about managing everything God places in your hands, including your relationships, your time, and your life's calling. Ephesians 5:15-16 urges us to be very careful, then, how you live, making the most of every opportunity. You're not just managing money, you're managing destiny. Time is one of your most limited assets, and yet it's the one we waste most. Every hour you spend scrolling, avoiding, or pleasing people out of alignment with your calling is time you'll never get back. Stewardship means saying no to good things so you can say yes to what's eternal. The budget you need might not be for money, it might be for your calendar. And then there's purpose. If your business is booming but your marriage is broken, that's not success, it's imbalance. If you tithe faithfully but neglect the gifts God told you to develop, that's not stewardship, it's delay. Purpose stewardship asks, what did God assign to me? And am I managing it with intention and honor? Money is just one piece of the equation. If you want true abundance, you must align all areas of life, relationships, time, energy, with the vision God gave you. And once that alignment clicks, blessings flow faster than you can explain. You've seen the plan. You've heard the truth. Now the question is, will you keep living under the weight of a system that never cared about your freedom? Or will you finally build a life that reflects the God who called you to multiply? What's stopping you from sitting at the head of your financial table? Are you afraid to face the numbers? Or afraid to face the potential God placed in you? If this message stirred something in you, if it brought clarity, conviction, or hope, then don't let it stop here. Apply what you've learned. Open your Bible, open your bank app, and most of all, open your heart to a new order. Write in the comments, "I refuse to stay in debt. I'm rebuilding my life with God's order." And watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. If this message touched you in any way, please consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next teaching on biblical finance and kingdom business. Your future deserves this kind of wisdom, and so does your family.